Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio. And today I have a fun Valentine's Day card for you. Here's the card. It flips open like this. And then the designer paper opens like this for your message. Let me show you what we're going to need to make this cute card. The stamp set that I'm going to be using today is called Be My Valentine. There's a lot of stamps that go into this, and in order to use fewer stamps, I'm going to be using some cardstock that's colored so that I don't have to do a lot of the stamping, and you'll see what I mean as we get started. Another thing that I'm going to use are these Lovely Doilies. That's what they're called. They have pink on one side, which is kind of hard to see on this video, and then they're white on the other side, so you can color them whatever you want. And there's 12 large ones and 12 small ones. The large ones have, this is the pattern that you would see on the pink one, only it's on the red one, and it's white on the other side. And then you have small ones, same thing. You have this pattern, which is hard to see, the pink on the white this side, and then you have white on the other side, and then you have small ones that are the same as the large ones. So I just cut one of these in half to use for my card. And again, that's the Lovely Doilies, and that's an online exclusive right now. The paper that I'm going to use today is called Made with Love, and what I usually do is I cut my paper into 4x6 sections, and I found for this card I didn't think I was going to be able to use this paper, but I found a workaround. You would typically start with this 6x6 sheet of paper and fold it in half. And I'll show you what I did as a workaround. This is really cute paper. And it doesn't have to be just for Valentine's Day. It can be any time you want to tell someone you love them. And it doesn't have to be like a true love, like a husband or wife. It could be anybody. Best friend? Grandchild? All right, let's get started. I will post the measurements with this video, so it'll be down in the description below, and you won't have to write it down right now. So what I'm going to start with here is a piece of strawberry slush cardstock, and I cut this at 3 1/4 by 11, so that's 3 1/4 across by 11, and I scored it in half at 5 1/2. Now, instead of a 6x6 piece of paper, because I already showed you I cut mine down to 4x6, here's what I did. I took my designer paper, and one of them is 3 by 5 1/4. The other one is 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And I scored this at 1/4 of an inch. See where we're going with this? I scored it so that I could fold it down and attach it to this other piece so that it'll make a little book that will be opening up. You're also going to need a piece of white for the inside. This is 2 3/4 by 5. You're going to need a half of the doily that I showed you. You're also going to need, now I used a retired set of punches. You can use whatever you want for your sentiment here, but that was easy for me to do, quick and easy for Valentine's Day. So I have 2 different size hearts so that I can do my sentiment. When I was cutting my designer paper, I ended up with a strip that was 1 inch by 3 1/4. And that's the strip that we're going to use that goes across here behind the heart. Here's where I used cardstock instead of white. I used Daffodil Delight for the bee's body. Now you can see on my example, I used white and stamped the yellow ink and then black ink. And then on the wings I did strawberry slush and then the black. But what I did here was I cut my wings out of strawberry slush, so now I'll only have to do the black ink on that. Same with the little antenna. Instead of making it white, I made it yellow, just to see what it would look like. That should make the stamping a little bit easier. So let's get started. I'm going to move these things off here. You'll notice here on my sample, there's a hole. The other thing you're going to need here is either a die or a hole punch. And I have my 2.5 inch hole punch here. And you're just going to take your paper and put it in wherever you want the hole. Now, I did it close to the top, and I left enough room for my heart at the bottom. If you're not sure if you have enough room, you can always take your heart and put it on here to make sure that you have enough room to add that. I'm pushing this all the way in against the end of the circle punch, and I'm going to punch. Now you can also use this circle anywhere you want on your card. I did not do that, but feel free to do that so that it's not a scrap. All right, let's take this designer paper now. The designer paper, like I said, was scored 1/4 inch. And I'm going to bring in my silicone pad because it really is a nice thing. I like to flatten this, and I'm going to be putting adhesive on the part that's just past the score line. It's going to be folded down. Okay. So I have adhesive here on the edge of the paper, and it's going to be folded down like this. And I'm going to add it to my other designer paper. Now, you can make it match. I used the back side so that it would match when I opened this up. So this is red on the inside like that. So I'm turning this piece over so it's showing the red side. And I'm just going to take this. You can see I have this held down. I'm going to line it up with the bottom here. I'm looking at here and I'm looking here. And then I'm just going to set this down right on the edge. And now we have a little bit of the adhesive is here, but you can see it rubs off quite easily. But now we have something that opens. What I did on this one was I put the doily on this side, but I think for this card I want to do it in a typical way where you would see the writing on this side. And so that's what I'm going to do. But typically what I do is I wait until I do the stamping to put that on there, and then we'll put our doily for decoration on this side. And I really liked the white side of it. It seemed to show the pattern of the paper a lot more. So I'm going to put these off to the side just for right now. We're going to work on the bee and the other stamping that we're going to do. So this is for our sentiment. Here's the bee, the antenna, and wings. Now he should have 2 2 sets of wings. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take my black Memento ink, and what I did was I took one of Stampin' Up's pigment ink pads, and they come with nothing in it. It's empty of ink. So I just put Memento ink in here because I like the fact that it opens and slides like this to use it. The Memento pad that we have, you take the lid off, and because there's ink on it, the ink gets all over. I don't like that. So that's what I did for that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my stamps, and I'm going to be doing the black ink. So for these wings, I'm just going to stamp and to do the best I can. I have to tell you, this is a little difficult when you're trying to film, but you'll get the idea. Okay. And I need the antenna. These are small pieces too. I have a friend who loves working with small pieces. And I have to be honest, they make me twitch. All right, these are the eyes, and I picked the one with the smile. And the body. And you can see that this is a whole lot easier to do when you have the colored paper. I'm gonna clean these here. Okay, I want to do the sentiment here, and I used the honeycomb on here, and I did that first with Daffodil ink. So I'm going to take my Daffodil ink and use the honeycomb. I'm using so many stamps on this that I had to put some double-sided on here. So I was running out of blocks. And then I'm going to put Love You on the front. And we're going to do that with our strawberry slush. Then what I did was I took the tiny little heart trio here, and I just added them to the rest of the heart just to kind of finish it off. One thing you could do on these, and I think it would be cute, would be to use those googly eyes instead of stamping this. Then you could just draw the mouth if you want, or cover the eyes with the googly eyes. All right. We're going to put this together now. Let me close up the ink pads so we don't get them messed up. All right. Quick and easy, I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of my heart and add it to this one. You notice I picked this up to make it easier for me to see rather than to work flat. It's a whole lot easier to line things up if you bring it up this way into your field of vision. All right, I'm going to put that with this paper. Let's see. For the bee, what I did was I put ink on the back, not ink, I put adhesive on the back, and now I'm just going to add the wings. You want to keep in mind too that this guy's got to fit in this circle here, so you don't want the wings really far out because you want it to be able to open. and that's pretty good. And then you put a little bit of adhesive on the back here, and you can put the antenna. And it doesn't look too bad with the yellow. It looks kind of cute. All right, now we're going to take this piece and I'm going to turn it over to the back and put adhesive on the back. Open this up because this is the middle of the card. I'm going to hold the corners here, opposite corners, and lay this down. Okay, I'm going to close this now so I can see exactly where that B is going to go. And I added mine with adhesive, but I want to add it this time with a dimensional just to kind of raise it up a little bit. You could also do a wobbler so that he would wobble. I did that last year. You can also get spinners, and he looks cute with a spinner. There we go. So now we have that. We're going to take this piece. Now unfortunately the pattern is sideways, but that's going to be okay. And what I did on my original card was I turned it over so that the opposite side was showing. So let's add some adhesive to this. And again, I want to look at this and see where it's going to go. In fact, it would be a whole lot easier if I just put some adhesive here in the middle and then take my heart and center it so there's the same amount on each side. Okay, now it's going to be easier to add this to my card. I'll know exactly where it can go because I have it all together. See what I'm saying? So that's going to go on the front. Okay. And then on the inside, let's take a look at our sample here. On the inside, I stamped Happy Valentine's Day. Now, you don't have to. You could leave it blank if you want. But I want to stamp it with Happy Valentine's Day. And I'm going to use the strawberry slush again. You can stamp it wherever you want. You can add whatever you want to this. I'm going to put it right here in the middle. And I could, if I wanted to, I could add those little hearts again, the trio of hearts. I just have to find it. Here we go. So I could do that. Oh boy. There we go. You could put them wherever you would like. Some people like to put them in the corners, way at the top and way at the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to put adhesive on this. We're just about done. All right, and then we're going to add this piece. One thing that I have done in the past is I've taken a silicone brush and I've put glue at the top of my silicone mat, and you want to make sure that you don't move this. I'm going to be putting the glue on this side that's pink, so I'm going to get this on my bristles and then I'm just going to tap it. And what this does is it picks up the ink and it spreads it, and it gives you the tackiness of the glue without getting it all over, and you won't have it seeping through the openings in your paper. And what I did was I just lined it up with the edge here, as a decoration. You want to see, you know, try to get the same amount at the top and the bottom. I like to close this and then push down so that it all works together. So here's our finished card. You could add embellishments if you like. I think it's busy enough, but you can see that when you use the color of paper like I did, you don't have to do the extra stamping. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you're doing classes. It helps it to go along a little quicker. So it says love you, and then we open it up and it says Happy Valentine's Day. Well, I hope you like this card. I hope you give it a try, and thanks for watching.